Yo, what's going on, YouTube? We're back. My boy Harry is here. We're bringing another podcast. We're going to be previewing the content that we believe is going to be coming in the next week or so. But before that, we wanted to share our thoughts on season 4 so far, and then cover what happened today in my team. And then we're going to have a pretty fun segment at the end. But before we get into all that, I wanted to reintroduce my podcast partner in crime, Harry. How are you, good sir?
I'm doing good. I say this every time, but it's so great to be on the podcast. I was speaking to Jan earlier. I feel like we speak so periodically. It's so much fun doing these like mini podcasts throughout the season because I feel like we're very opinionated people, so it's always fun getting opinionated people together to share our thoughts. And Jan actually said right before we went live that this is really probably the first time we're like both very positive about my team, the state of it, and where we're heading. So I'm very excited to kind of share our thoughts about the current season, what we expect from the future, and what we kind of want to see. But yeah, no, I'm really excited to hear both our thoughts and where we're currently at.
Yeah. So just to give you guys again a bit of an agenda of how we're gonna go about this, we're gonna first start by sharing our thoughts on these first few weeks of season 4. Instead of going, point by point, like I used to do in previous podcasts, I personally have a list of things that I loved, liked, and disliked slash hated. And before I share my thoughts, I wanted to give the floor to Harry because he's been chomping at the bit. We've been, getting ready to do this pod all week. And every time I've spoken to Harry about this pod this week, he's been telling me that he has a growing list of things that he wants to cover. But again, I think the one thing that we're both kind of excited to talk about is how positive we feel so far about season 4. And I think that's a feeling that like us as a consensus haven't felt towards the prior 3 seasons of my team. So with that said, Harry, I'm going to throw it over to you. Share your thoughts about season 4 so far and what you've been enjoying about it.
Yeah, I mean, you say 3 seasons. I'm gonna say years. I mean, I told Jan over text, like, I think yesterday, I was like, this is the first time I think in years, it's since maybe like 2K19, where I haven't like done my bipolar quitting my team. Because Jan will attest, like, I always feel like he gets annoyed because I get him hooked on a game, whether it's Mutt or my team, and then I quit just because I get so bored of it or frustrated because I'm such a perfectionist. But no, this is the first year. I mean, I've had my mini breaks where haven't been super happy with the game mode, but I haven't done my like, oh, I'm gonna switch to Madden and play that for a while, and I'm not gonna play my team anymore. I've really stuck with it, which is such a good sign because I'm very impulsive. So once I'm upset with something, I'll switch. So I've really been enjoying this whole year, I would say, for the most part. And I think in terms of season 4, like, it's amazing. I was kind of looking back of all the things I wanted to, talk about. And it's like, I feel like there's been 10 years in this one season. There's been so much content on
Yeah.
a weekly and daily and a daily basis. It's hard, like, we're bound to forget things because it's been such an eventful season, which is great, and I think one thing I said to Jan yesterday or maybe the day before, which I think I realized, which is why I'm really enjoying not really enjoying, but why I think I'm much more positive towards the game, regardless of kind of what's going on, is I get the vibe that normally every year, like, yes, they're gonna patch it throughout the year, but 2K has always had that hidden attitude where it's like, you get what you get and you don't get upset. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is your game. If you have any like big complaints, great, but we're gonna take that into the next year's game, and then that's gonna be the big like blog, like, oh, we finally fixed this or whatever. But this seems to be the first year ever, like, even going back to 17, 16, the prime 2Ks, this is the first year ever where every season they've really taken stuff that we haven't liked or have liked and either expanded on it or changed it up a bit, which I think is great. Yes, I think I did complain last podcast about the lack of continuity, which I still have my issues with, but I'm happy. I'd rather them, actually attempt to make stuff better and listen to us, which is like the first time I feel like they're listening to us,
Yeah.
as opposed to taking a bland, I thought season 1 was kind of bland, I feel like, compared to now. I'd rather them do this than, keeping season 1 and just doing that every season without changing it, just because like that's the game we get. So overall, I'm very pleased with how they've been listening to us. Not perfect, but I think they've been doing a good job. But to get into season 4, I think the first thing I want to talk about are the rewards. I
Yeah.
think they've done a really good job of keeping you engaged and excited with the stuff going on. Like I'm not a big Butler fan, so I did not enjoy the last season grind for Butler.
Yeah.
So I thought even though Magic, listen, we can get into that later. The card is not dominant at all means, probably the least dominant Magic we've ever had.
Very
But
true.
I always talk about I want big names. They 2K has a tendency where it'll be like grind triple threat offline for some Joe Schmo you've never even heard of. So grinding for Magic, arguably the first or second best point guard ever. I think that's awesome. You know, I think that the Larry Bird grind has I mean, I already have Larry Bird. I
Yeah.
love the grind. I was so praiseful. I don't even know if that's a word, but I was super high on the why am I drawing up the Hakeem grind from last season, even
Yeah.
though I didn't end up getting it because I going home and all that.
Yeah.
But I love that, and I'm so happy they kind of stuck with that. So Larry Bird, Magic, these are awesome cards that they're giving. Um, a couple other things I liked. I really liked the Gauntlet grind for Roy Hibbert.
Hmm.
I don't think he's the most exciting card, but I'm glad that they're giving us kind of much more relaxed grinds. It wasn't like we didn't have to go 12-0 in Triple Threat Online for a
Correct.
Roy Hibbert. It's just not worth it. I think getting your 7 wins. I didn't even really care about the Hibbert, but I thought it would be a fun kind of challenge to go 7-0. So I really enjoyed that. I'm just gonna be going from point to point just so everyone knows because there's so much to talk about. Um, as much as I was very iffy towards getting the Pink Diamond Tracy because I didn't like them giving us free cards on the level of a Tracy McGrady that could have been an exciting card to get from the player market.
Sure.
But I think giving us the Pink Diamond Chet and Embiid and making us kind of work for it, I think is great. I think those are two cards that have been a lot of fun to use, especially that Embiid. I think the Chet getting the 200 blocks, I think that's cool. Like it's something to do in my team in all game modes, something you can kind of put on the side and grind. Embiid, I really like that. It wasn't like, oh, type in a locker code for this moments card. I really like the idea that we have to replicate those stats in the game that he did. I think that's just a lot of fun. It's very creative, so I enjoyed that.
It's
Another
not even
thing I
the
really
full
love.
stats. Sorry to interrupt. It's literally just the points. I thought they were gonna make us get the 18 rebounds and
Yeah,
25 assists as well. So that was pretty shocking to me.
I'll give it to you. I guess it could have been more, but I'm glad it's not just the typical type in this locker code for this moments card. At least they put in a little creativity.
Yeah, sure.
Um, One of my biggest positives about how they formulated the season, and I talked about it in the last pod, was how they're doing these kind of I call them events instead of doing, all right, you have to grind 50 wins of that to get 50 clutch time online wins to get that reward and 100 triple that offline, wins to get that reward. They're spreading them out, which I think Jan likes the point where they're kind of staying up to date with the new cards that come out, which is great.
Yeah, I'll mention
I
that for
love
sure.
I love the event feel where we're all doing something at the same time, which is a lot of fun. Like, oh, 1 week is clutch time offline, so everyone will be playing that to get the reward.
Yeah.
I think the only negative I have is I wish it felt, different than the typical get your 50 wins. I kind of wish it was shorter in the sense. Like, I don't think we should have to do 100 triple threat offline wins to get that reward. I wish they were even 50. I wish they were shorter to make it really feel like a set of challenges that we're getting instead of just we're doing the same thing, we're just spreading them out. But I like this. I prefer this way more than before. Like I said, I like the event feel. Um, Pyramid of Power, I thought was terrible. I think Demar was a cool choice for a free card to grind for, but I forget the exact. I mean, Jan, you might remember what was the MT entry, like 150K, or am I
It was
even closer?
157,000 MT, something
Yeah,
like
like
that.
that's ridiculous. That's like it's better obviously than the normal pink diamond price, but like that's not really an event. It's really just you need like that's catering towards the money spenders, which I don't like, especially for a DeMar DeRozan. Like that's not an exciting card enough to go out for that. Um, Sorry if this is so many different things at once.
No, it's okay. You're covering
Another
the whole
thing I really
season.
Yeah, we're going. Another thing I really liked were the opal reveal. I think it's weird that we haven't had too many opals after this, but I thought having a dynamic duo as for the Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen be the opal sort of start to how we're getting Galaxy opals. I thought that was really cool and really creative.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, I was so critical of the Kobe Bryant grind yes, one more so because of how much money it was and how much MT you had to spend on it, but also because we didn't have a Kobe in the player market, and I love Kobe. So I thought this was amazing that we could get the Diamond Kobe, the Diamond Shaq, the Diamond Wade, the
Yeah.
Diamond LeBron. These are cards that I still use in now in my offline grind just because they're a ton of fun. So yeah, they might not be pink diamonds, but I love the fact that there was something for everyone. The money spenders, you can get the Jordan and Scottie Pippen, and you can have a cool duo. But if you're not going to spend the money and you're more frugal with your MT like Jan and I, you can get these really fun diamonds that are going to be amazing in the game. So I love
Yeah.
that. Rivals Week, I love this so much. I think, yeah, I always compare it to Madden, but I really like how Madden does the challenges where you kind of just, it has a set of different things and you can go from thing to thing to thing in like a linear kind of progression. So I really like that 2K had that where you had to go through, I think there were like 11 or
Yeah.
I don't
11
even remember how many.
challenges.
Yeah, so I really love that. You get, maybe, I think it could have been a bit harder to get Luca, but I think it was great. I think they should do that more. I talked about this before. But I think my team is you just scrap all these different game modes and you just do a set of challenges every week or whatever how Madden does it. But you use all these different game modes. Like you can go from a clutch time offline game and then go to a triple threat game. Like I think that's the best way to use everything without
Yeah.
it getting repetitive. And that's kind of what we got going from a normal game, a full 5v5 game to a triple threat game. I thought that was great. I think, typically 2K will do the same thing where you have to just grind full games. I think that gets repetitive, so I like mixing things up. I think Jan will agree that I know I did complain about getting the free cards, but I think Luke is a good example of someone who's not going to be OP, not a meta card by all means, but a super fun card to have on your team. Um, the All-Star content that we're currently getting, I'm not going to speak that much about just because we're still grinding it out. We don't know who the Pink
Right.
Diamond is. But I will say I do love the creativity of letting us grind for uniforms from past All-Star games. I think that's super cool,
Yeah, that is really
especially
cool.
for guys like Jan and I who are very attention to detail people. I love that kind of stuff. And it keeps, just something cool to get. And the last thing, I know this has been such a long whatever, but I also want to say that I'm really impressed with the player drops that we've gotten this whole season so far. We're not even close to being done, I guess we are kind of close to being done. But I think 2K has done a great job of giving us both accessible, really good cards, but also expensive cards in the game for kind of both the money spenders and the people who are kind of more frugal with their MT, like Jan and I, like just to name some. A lot of like cards that I've gotten, like the Pink Diamond KD, the Pink Diamond Vince, the Pink Diamond Paul George. All three of those cards I've gotten on my team, and I love them all. So I'm really excited that 2K has given us cards that are fun and they haven't been super expensive. I've gotten them all for the normal pink diamond price of I don't even know 250K or so. But there's been so many other fun cards that they've released, like the Porzingis and the point guard Draymond Green. They just did a Yao Ming, who's a very we can definitely talk about that in a little bit, but it's definitely a bit bit interesting. But yeah, there's been so many fun cards for all people, whether you're gonna be doing the big set for Yao Ming or you're gonna be spending, 200 or so K for a KD or whatever it is. So, I like it. I'm glad that for me, I want to be able to walk away every season with at least a slightly updated team. So the fact that my team now is already a lot better than it was when I started this season, and it hasn't made a huge impact on my MT like season 2 or whatever it was when I spent like 1 million on KD.
Yeah.
So yeah, so overall, I know that was a lot at once, but I'm really enjoying my team this whole season so far. The bird grind, the magic grind, all this stuff has kind of kept me going all season. I think the rewards have been great. You know, I think Jan made the comment to me the other day where, even though he does have a lot of MT and he is very frugal, more so than I am with his MT, he doesn't feel the need to buy players because we've gotten so many free cards. I mean, the Jeremy
Yes.
Lin, and there's so many other free cards that we've gotten. So it's great. This is probably the most rewarding my team has been in years, if not compared to any other season. Literally, I think that's undisputable at this point. But yeah, no, those are my thoughts. I'm very excited for what's to come, and I think if as long as 2K continues to take what the negatives, turn them into positives, make things better, continue to expand on what we like,
Yeah.
I think we're in a good state because I think this is really the first time where I'm looking at my team, I'm looking at MUT, I'm looking at all these different Ultimate Team modes, and this might be the first time ever. This is the first time ever I'm confident that my team, arguably, it could be the best Ultimate Team mode out of all the game modes right now, which is amazing. We've never had that point. Like normally when you talk about my team, you kind of settle. You're like, oh well, this is good for my team, but probably not good for Mutt.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, you're looking at all the people on who are playing Madden constantly criticizing the current state of the game. I feel like this is the most positive people I've been towards a my team in a long time. So, props to 2K. I'm very excited. I know this is very long-winded, but Jan, what are your thoughts on anything I've said, or what are your thoughts on your opinions on my team so far?
Well, before I get into my thoughts, I wanted to know if you wanted to give a preliminary grade on, season 4. If season 4 ended today, what would your grade for it be? We can do it out of, I think we've been doing out of 10 because you've been giving it 0 out of 10 quite a bit lately when it comes to the
Yeah,
previous seasons. How would you grade this season of my team so far?
yeah, and if you remember last season during the preview, I gave it an A. I said this is really good for any
Yeah,
Ultimate Team
that's true.
mode. It's not perfect. It's not an A plus. I don't know what could be perfect. I wouldn't give anything probably an A plus to be honest, because I think you can always improve stuff. But
Sure.
I'm sticking with an A. I think this is. I haven't had one. Like for the most part, I've been very positive from beginning to like middle. I guess where we're at in this season. I mean, it's been great. It's the rewards have been great. The grind has been great,
Yeah.
and I think they've done a fantastic job. I'm really impressed. So yeah, I'm giving it an A. And that's like I said before. This is not an A for my team. This is an A for Ultimate Team mode in terms of how an Ultimate Team mode is and how I want it to be played. This is
Yeah.
an A.
Yeah. I think that's very, very well said. I kind of agree. One thing that, Harry said towards the end of his speech there, his little rant, his positive rant about how good season 4 has been so far, is that what he said is true. I mentioned to Harry, I don't know how long ago it was, maybe like a week or two ago, that I don't really feel the need currently to splurge with my almost 3.7 million MT that I have. Sorry, Harry. Right now, because my team right now I think is relatively competitive. I've played a lot of online this season. That was one of my New Year's resolutions coming into my team related for this season or for the rest of the year in my team. Because I don't know if I'm going to be playing much more my team after this year. And I think I've made good on that resolution. And I've been able to be pretty competitive with a team that I earned strictly from agendas. If you look here at this lineup, I haven't even run this lineup online. Harry, you can't see this, but I'm showing a Clutch Time online lineup of Tyrese Halliburton, Kyle Korver, Andre Kirilenko, Tyson Chandler, and Joel Embiid. All of these cards I grinded for. I didn't pay a penny for any of them. And if I wanted to replace Kyle Korver with another shooting guard, I could replace him with the Tracy McGrady, the top card from that Inferno agenda. And I want to actually lead with the agendas because I wanted to break this down into 3 categories when it comes to season 4. Things that I loved, things that I liked, and things that I disliked / hated. The first thing that I really did love about this season are the agendas that we got for the level up, namely the Kyle Korver, and the Inferno agenda set for the Tracy McGrady. And the Inferno agenda set, I was debating between putting it in versus love because some of the agendas that you had to complete for the Tracy McGrady were outrageous. I want to see if I can find them very quickly. And I apologize if you can hear the fire truck in the background. Oh, you know what? It's gone because the Inferno agenda set was only here for a week. But the 150 steals I needed to get with Diamond, Paolo, Banchero are still in my nightmares. Trying to get those steals up until I think like a couple of days before that Friday was absolutely brutal. It was not fun. But because of those agendas, it forced me to play online, and I ended up actually enjoying playing online. I think I mentioned in my most recent video that the one thing I did not enjoy from that triple threat online grind that I had for the Tyson Chandler was the amount of off-ball sweats that I ran into, and I don't love that at all. And the one argument that I see for people who are pushing, the changing of jump shots and SIGs to allow for quicker timing jump shots, if your argument is I want to see those put in the game because I want to counter on off-ball defense, I hear you. Off-ball defense is very frustrating, and that brings me to my next point. Another thing that I love is the pacing, and maybe that is pretty polarizing. Maybe I'm in the minority. I know a lot of people with the content that came out today in particular were very upset because it wasn't as cracked out as they were hoping it would be. But I'm pretty happy with the pacing, mostly because I feel like in previous 2Ks, you would grind for a card or you would buy a card, and that card would get outdated in a week or two. I can still go and take the Joel Embiid card that I grinded for. I mean, if you look at the lineup that I have right now, you could argue that everybody outside of my point guard, this Tyrese Halliburton, these cards are all incredibly viable. And I know that the Tyson Chandler's only been out for a week, and the Kyle Korver about the same thing. But like Andrei Kirilenko came out in the first week of this season, and he's still a mainstay on my team. You know, he's a lockdown wing defender with Hall of Fame dimer. He gives me everything I need currently from my small forward position. Joel Embiid, same kind of thing. These cards are all very good, and you can argue that they're all top end cards and they're all easy to grind for. And again, in the case of Kirilenko and the rest of the Inferno players, I grinded for them at the start of season 4, and you can argue that they're all still viable. I mean, I could put Inferno Steph Curry as my point guard, and will he get bodied down low? Absolutely, but he'll still be elite for me offensively, and that's great. Tracy McGrady, I know people don't love his jump shot. I like his jump shot. I've made this same rant before. I don't think there are some jump shots that are not usable. I totally agree. But there are some jump shots that I think are usable and are good. I just think there are a number of people in the MyTeam community especially who are used to taking bad jump shots, and they're used to being rewarded for their poor shot selection because of the jump shot timings being on quick and very quick. And now they have to kind of work to get quality looks for their players to knock down jump shots. And that's just the way the game is right now. So if you don't enjoy MyTeam, if you would rather all the players have quick jump shots, then come back in a month. Maybe next week. Maybe we'll see those timings change next week. But until that happens, until that time is confirmed, if you're not having fun playing MyTeam because the jump shots aren't at the speed you want, then go find something else to play until they change the jump shot timings. I hate that argument so much. Moving on, the moments Embiid and the Rivals Week Luka, I really enjoyed that just because it's grindable content. I feel like moments content should be grindable, and this is the most grindable moments content that we've gotten, I think, out of any other season so far in MyTeam, which is great. And I'm not counting equal chance packs that we've gotten for the 2K numbers cards in the past as grindable content. Like, it is, but not really. Like, we were guaranteed to get the Joel Embiid and guaranteed to get the Luka Doncic card. So that's really great. The other thing is one thing that Harry mentioned, guys like LeBron, Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant, all these guys were only accessible basically as lock-in cards before season 4, or, you know, in Kobe Bryant's case, as a pre-order reward. So to get cards that are not, you know, reward based, like Kobe Bryant, LeBron, those cards were 21,000 MT. That's very affordable in my opinion. The Kevin Durant, much more expensive, coming in at a pink diamond price of like 262K. But you can still buy him instead of, you know, spending 1 point whatever million MT to go and lock in for the perfect build one. So at least you have that, you know. So I really like that. Moving on to things that I liked, I really like that the mode rewards are being staggered. I mentioned it to Harry relatively early on in the season that I was hopeful that if they're going to stagger these mode rewards in terms of like we get a different one every week. We got the Thurl Bailey, and then I believe it was Chris Mullin, and so on and so forth. We had the Rajon Rondo. What I like about them doing that is 2K, I feel like, tends to give us these mode reward cards with Hall of Fame badges that line up with the Hall of Fame badge count of players coming out that week. What I didn't like is when we would get players that would come out, we would get their ratings in week 1, and then by the time we finally got those cards, they were outdated by other cards of the same gem tier that just came out that week because they were the more recent cards. They were fresh off the press, and because of that, they had more Hall of Fame badges, better ratings, etc. This Tyson Chandler card, he just came out last week, and he's incredible. I've yet to use him in a game, but I've watched plenty of gameplays with him. He has a great jump shot. As I mentioned in the video yesterday, one thing I love about Tyson Chandler, one of my very fond memories, or 3 of my fond memories of Tyson Chandler when he was on the Knicks, was him playing power forward minutes for the Knicks, having an elite jump shot, and being a knockdown 3-point shooter. So really excited to get to use this realistic Tyson Chandler card And I think he's going to be really viable for a really long time. So I really like the motor boards. Gauntlet, Roy Hibbert, same thing that Harry mentioned. I think the only thing that I didn't love about him is he kind of felt like a card that was sandwiched into, like a center. I don't call it a center meta, but if you look at the number of free cards that we got that were top end, and then looked at how many of them were power forward or center eligible, I would say it was like 80%. I mean, we had like Chet Holmgren, we had the Roy Hibbert, and then we had the Joel Embiid. Tyson Chandler just came out. We have too many bigs. We got Yao Ming today. I mean, just a lot of center power forward love, which is great, but it's a little overkill for me. Tyrese Halliburton falls into the like and not the love because of the controversy with the mobile app. Some people complaining that their accounts are being deleted because they're being on the mobile app for too long or whatever ends up happening. So, I wanted to go back into the mobile app to grind out the agendas to get the Hall of Fame badge option pack. And I'm personally afraid because I don't want to lose my 3.7 million MT that I've been sitting on for months. So that would really suck. And I also like that we have less lock-ins this season, especially. I feel like if you look at the collections, we haven't had as many lock-ins as we've had in previous seasons. I mean, in the month of December, I think every single collection that we got was related to the Kobe Bryant lock-in, and they were all lock-ins themselves, which was very annoying. Whereas this season, the Inferno had no lock-in. Dynamic Duos had lock-ins for the Jordan and the Pippen. Electric had no lock-in. Yeah, no lock-in for Electric. Level Up had a lock-in for a Hall of Fame badge. Seismic had no lock-in, and then Glitch had no lock-in. So, today we got the Yao Ming lock-in, which we'll talk about later. But, this is a season with not a lot of lock-ins, which I like, because if you want to go out and you want to buy a Vince Carter, a Porzingis, a Paul George, cards that came out last week, you don't need to shell out a million MT for them and then hope that you use the other card in its collection. You can go and spend 241 to 262,000 MT and go and get the pink diamonds of your choice from last week's collection. So shout out to 2K for that. Last thing, the Pyramid of Power. To Harry's point, I don't think it's great. And Harry mentioned that maybe the Pyramid of Power is appealing towards people who are the money spenders. I feel like any content that comes out, it doesn't have to be meant for everyone, but content should be meant for some group of, or some contingent of the MyTeam community. And I genuinely believe that the Pyramid of Power was not meant for any segment of the MyTeam community, because it was expensive to buy in and the players were just really not that good. Like DeMar DeRozan, he had Hall of Fame clamps, which was kind of a surprise, but besides that, he just really wasn't all that exciting. There was, people were calling him the budget T-Mac, but I would much rather do the Inferno grind over again than spend 157,000 MT to get the Pink Diamond DeMar DeRozan and, the other parts of his collection. So the Pyramid of Power gets an F for me, but everything else in MyTeam so far this season, I'm in agreement with Harry. Out of 10, I'd probably give it like an 8 or almost a 9. So I'd be willing to give it like a an A minus. So I'm very happy with that. Harry, sorry, I know I was talking for so long. Let's move on to segment 2 with the Lunar New Year review, I guess, and everything else that came out today. And I do want to kind of talk about the All-Star promo and maybe share what we think is going to be coming. Harry, do you have any thoughts about what we got today with the Lunar New Year promo itself? Just really quickly, the Yao Ming came out today. And I think to everyone's surprise, because, before I even show the ratings, Harry, did you think the Yao Ming card was going to be absolutely broken? Harry?
Yes, first of all, you can hear me, right?
I can hear you. Yes.
Okay, sorry. The whole thing it blows my mind because one, listen, Jan and I are the most preachful people for pacing on this game. I mean, we're in the minority. I can admit that. Most people on 2K, they just want dark matters today if they could get them. So we've been really loving the slow pacing, everything kind of taking its time, taking its course. You can build up excitement. I am shocked and a little underwhelmed that this is not an Opal Yao Ming, I gotta say. And listen, I'm fine that Pink Diamonds are still running its course. Listen, I'm completely good with that. But I mean, this Yao Ming, I feel like, has been hyped up for weeks and weeks and weeks. So I'm shocked that it's just another Pink Diamond. And then not even that, not only is it a pink diamond, but the card is, I mean, it's not good.
I mean, he's
I
bad.
mean,
He's just
listen,
bad.
I mean, like, it's, I don't know if, like, it's very weird to me because 2K has a reputation of giving like cards that never even shot. Tyson Chandler can shoot threes in this game, but Yao Ming can't. Like, it's very weird to me, especially after, because you would think that Yao Ming would have been the more expensive Wemby card that can shoot, that can do it all, that could dribble, that could whatever. I don't like that at all. Like in a perfect world, all these cards like Yao Ming and not Wemby, but all these Tyson Chandler, they would stay true to how they played in the real NBA. They wouldn't shoot. But I know that's not the world we live in. 2K is gonna juice these stats, but still, it's like it's kind of still a little disappointing that some cards they're giving these high stats and others they're not. Like the whole thing is just weird. It's like the one half of me is kind of like I love it that they're giving him a realistic card, but like you can't just pick and choose. Like again, there's no continuity. You can't just
Yeah.
pick and choose when you're doing what. Like if you're gonna give Chandler and all these other cards that never shot threes a day in their life, these high threes, you can't just give a Yao Ming as a lock in out of all things, and then not give him a three, especially for a hypes card. So it's like for me, it's like I said, I'm fine. It's weird. It's like you would think I wouldn't. It's I don't know how to feel because on one hand, I'm happy that we still have pink diamonds and they're taking their time for Galaxy Opals, and I'm also it makes the inner realistic love for 2K and basketball in me. I'm happy that they're not giving him a three, but at the same time, it's like, what game are we playing? It doesn't even feel like this is 2K. Like this is very unnatural for 2K.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's that. So I all the if I were to put one word on it, it would just be underwhelming. I'm underwhelmed that this is a pink diamond, and I'm underwhelmed that it's not really a good card by any means. I mean, speed. I think what does it have like 25
Has
speed or something like
25
that?
speed and a
So this
43 pointer.
why so why get this card? What is it gonna? It's literally just a rebounder, which and a dunker, I guess. Which is that's how Yao Ming played. So it's one thing, but it's like why would anyone consider locking in this card when they could just get Wemby, or they could get literally anyone else? I mean, I consider my Diamond David Robinson to be better than this Yao Ming. They just gave us a free Pink Diamond MB that is more usable than this Yao Ming. So the whole thing is just weird. I mean, I don't know what 2K is thinking because it's very. They love to do this. They love to give us these insane cards that people want to spend money on. So I don't know what they're thinking. This is very weird for them.
I agree. What do you think about the Michael Beasley card being pack exclusive
Oh,
outside of
yeah,
the
yeah.
125,000?
I almost forgot about that. I hate it. Completely hate it. You know, I really again, it's Michael Beasley. This is not LeBron or Kobe. I don't think there's a very small portion of people that are excited for that Michael Beasley, but by making him only VC, to me, we're getting near that fine line of just like I can't think of the right word, but it's like that's not right. There should never be a card in the game that is only for VC and spending money on that, as opposed to being able to grind the game, get MT to spend MT on that card. Like, if they did that for a higher tier card, this alone would have been like a 40-minute rant on that alone because it's just not right. I think it's really it's a crime to do that because you're towing that line of just slapping the MyTeam fan base, community in the face for people who grind this game, and now we can't use our currency that we grind for to buy these players. I think it's wrong. Like, if it was any other card, it'd be one thing, but I think even the fact that they're doing this, as much as I've been super happy with how 2K has been rewarding us and treating the no money spent guys, this to me is like 10 steps backwards of what I want from a game mode.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if this is in direct response to the report that came out that 2K's earnings are down 7% compared to expected value. I was talking to Harry about this in the pre-recording Discord about we're not sure if a large percentage of that 7% is my team community related, but I would not be shocked given they just haven't really put a lot of players out that people like. That's one negative about the pacing that affects 2K is when you don't put out players every single week that are must have, people are not going to spend money, especially when there's, no auction house. People are going to want to hold on to their MT like I am. I mean, maybe not to the extreme level that I've been holding on to my MT, but because whenever you buy a card, you're losing 60% of that investment initially or immediately upon investing into that player. I think it scares some people away from buying players, just in general. And, this Michael Beasley card is a $35 card. That I think is ludicrous. I think it's a scam. It makes me feel like if we get a pink diamond, or let's say they introduce Galaxy Opals next week and we get an Opal LeBron James next week, are you telling me the people that bought the Michael Beasley today are going to be happy that they spent $35 worth of a VC on that LeBron? I don't think so.
Nope.
Do you have any other thoughts? I mean, I will say, Harry, before I throw it back to you, the collection, I did the math on what my projection was for this collection. I thought it was going to cost 1,092,000 MT. It looks like it does cost a considerable amount less, but the Yao Ming is just so
Not
bad.
good. Yeah. It's so weird to me. Like I can't think. I know I keep saying this over and over again, but this is so not 2K. Like in a perfect life, Jan and I would probably love this 2K where like Yao Ming can't shoot and David Robinson doesn't really have a 3 and whatever. But it's just so weird. It's like the friend that does everything one way and now they just switch to another. It's just very odd. So I don't know if I want to be happy about it because I really don't like having an OP Yao Ming this early in the game. It's weird.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I
they
don't really
gave
have.
Wang Zhizhi a 93 three-pointer. I'm just
Yeah,
now seeing
like
this.
I just
They
I
gave him
don't have
Off
much.
Limitless. What is this card, dude?
Yeah, I mean
Wow.
I don't know what else to say, and it's sad because it's like I keep conflicting at it, but I was really looking forward to this promo for like literally since December. So I was like, oh Yao Ming, I love Yao Ming, I want to get him on my team. But he's so bad compared to other current centers, so I'm not excited at all. And there's not much to really be happy about. So this to me is a letdown because this is to me should be one of the bigger promos to get Yao Ming because there is no continuity in my team. A card can drop at any point. We have no idea what people are dropping, but at least every year Yao Ming is coming around this year around this time in February. It happens every single year.
Yeah.
So this to me is a big event and they screwed it up. But I will say this is such a small, like minuscule thing, but I just have to mention because I realized it right before the podcast. So I was looking at the challenges to get these deluxe packs because I the agendas because I was telling Jan I do it every time because my luck this year has been insane,
Yeah,
and I
Harry has a
noticed
goated account.
by completing the Spotlight Challenge group you get 668 MT. And I was like, well, that's interesting. And I was like, well, that's a very odd amount of MT. But I looked it up, and it's like a Chinese like special number for luck and prosperity and having a good year. So honestly, I will say as such a small note this is such an awful promo, but I think that's at least a little cool that it's like a very they're showing respect for the Chinese gamers, I guess. But the Jews don't get Hanukkah, but at least the Chinese people get their little New Year's.
Oh,
But
come on. The
nonetheless,
holiday event was inclusive. It included
all
Jews.
right.
Come
But
on.
no, all jokes aside, yeah, this is terrible. I mean, it's like terrible in like a joking way. Like I'm not even mad about it. It's just like what. So yeah, I was so excited. I've been how long, Jen, have I been talking about getting Yao Ming on my team since Wemby?
Yeah, I was gonna
I
say
was like,
since Wemby came out, you told
I
me.
was like, I don't even want Wemby as OP as he is because I love Yao Ming in 2K. And now Yao Ming came out, and I'm like, this Yao Ming kind of sucks. So it's like,
Yeah.
I guess maybe I'm just gonna get the Wemby that I could have had on my team for like 2 months now.
Well, what
You know,
about
the
the Jeremy Lin? I just opened up Jeremy Lin from the free locker code lunar-new-year-jeremy-lin. We get a free Jeremy Lin, the one that we got from
you know what though? This is gonna be a mini rant. This has pissed me off for years. I like this such a quality of life thing. Why do they have to give us these like stupidly long locker codes? If they really wanted, they could just give us a locker code Jeremy Lin. That's all they have to do. But they have to add all these stupid letters and numbers and take time out of our day. Oh god, I've been upset about that for
No,
years.
I
But
do agree with that. I do agree
but
with that.
no, I like it. I think I disagree with the point that you made before, where you said that not every promo should be directed towards all groups, but it should be towards one group. I disagree. I think it should be. I think everyone should be able to take at least a tiny bit away from it. Like I think the Opal Jordan and Scottie Pippen was a perfect example where the money
Mm,
spenders can get a really cool dynamic duo, the first Opals in the game, and the no money spend people can get really fun dynamic duos with Kobe, Shaq, LeBron. I think this is
yeah.
cool where I mean I would say the money spenders can get Yao Ming, but you'd have to be, you know, high on some Chinese drug to get Yao Ming. But the people who don't want to spend that MT
Yeah.
can get a cool Jeremy Lin diamond that could evo to a pink diamond.
Yeah.
Or
Which
is that right? He
that
can
I'm
evo
pretty
to a pink
excited
diamond.
about.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, not a dominant card by any means, but it's still something that the no money spent people can take out of this promo. So I'm all for that. I'm all for the prosperity of 668 MT. But goddamn 2K, they really took away my excitement for Yao Ming.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I mean, look, the Yao Ming. I mean, I agree with a lot of your points. The Yao Ming is not exciting at all. Funny enough, when I was pretty hyped over getting Wemby, Harry indirectly talked me into waiting for Yao Ming, and now we're both disappointed because Yao
And
Ming.
also, am
Yeah,
I like, don't you all, because you're in the same boat as me where we both love realism in my team.
yeah,
Don't you feel like you have like split personality where like one half your brain is like disappointed in this promo after how hyped it was, and the other half you're kind of like, yeah, like they're finally adding realism, but there's no continuity. If this was the standard all year, I would have loved it. If D-Rob had like a low 3-pointer and all these centers had low 3-pointers and not OP stats, I would have been like,
it would
"This
have
is
been great.
awesome! They're finally giving realism." But it's like to do all these awfully OP cards that make no sense, and then do this all of a sudden for an actual card that I was looking forward to. It's like they just ruined everything. They took away. They finally were gonna give me an OP card I was looking for. This is like I can't win. It's like they were gonna give me an OP card that I was looking forward to. That's not realistic at all, and they have to rip that in my face and give us a realistic card. So I don't get it. I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, again, we got cards like Diamond Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who came out in season 2 and had a 62 three-pointer, 22 points better than what Yao Ming has. So with a shoe and with a coach boost and everything, and with his good jump shot, you were able to green from the corners with this Kareem card. That Yao Ming card, it's going to take a miracle for you to green a three-pointer with him, with every single boost under the sun. I don't care what you give him. So I do like that the Yao Ming is realistic, but what I don't like is how inconsistent my team is. Like, you either have
Yes.
to stick with
Yep.
the fantasy aspect of the mode, which they have been doing, giving guys like Kareem and David Robinson and Hakeem Olajuwon very solid to really good in the case of David Robinson 3-point ratings. Like, David Robinson came out in December and had like an 85 3-ball stock, I think, Harry, something like that. I mean, I could pull
Yep.
it up,
Yep.
but like that's very high, and that's incredibly unrealistic. And then, yeah, an 85 3-ball, and then you give us this Yao Ming with a 40. And this is the year that I really do feel like, again, from my limited online gameplay experience, mashing is just really not a thing. Like, unless you have a point guard on you, you could have
No.
like
Yep.
I have backed small forwards who are not like
No.
crazy elite, like a Carmelo Anthony. Defensively, he's not that great, and
I
I've
can
had
I can
issues.
I can put a finger up against someone in the post and they're gonna miss a layup. Like there is no.
Yeah,
It's
I've missed so
awful.
many drop steps with Joel Embiid against
Yep.
small forwards like Carmelo.
I'm gonna be honest, and I'm not turning this into a negative rant. I think that is the single thing about the gameplay this year that frustrates me the most because it's a lot of the time like that it doesn't even make sense. Like you can have KD, posting up like Klay Thompson or something like that. Like KD should be able to dominate Klay in the paint every time, but just because they're similar height or kind of similar heights, Klay will stop him 9 out of 10 times. Like it's stupid. So I don't
See,
like that at all.
Clay, I mean, KD on Clay, I'm kind of okay with
That
because
was a bad example, but you know what I mean though. Like
No,
KD
I know.
on
He
like a
should be able
point
to win
guard.
sometimes. I think my
Yeah,
bigger
yeah,
issue is
yeah.
if I have a center like Joel Embiid, who's a big body center. I'm not talking about a Chet Holmgren who's like 95 pounds in real life. I'm talking about a guy like Joel Embiid who's like big bodied. He should be able to bully people in the paint. And I'm not saying Joel Embiid versus another center. I'm not even saying Joel Embiid versus Chet Holmgren or like a Giannis. I'm saying Joel
Yeah.
Embiid versus like a shooting guard who's like 6'6" or
Right.
like a small
That
forward
was
who's
the
six
point I was
eight.
trying to make. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that should not be happening. I mean, I've had cards with Hall of Fame drop stepper who are
Yep.
struggling. So like that's a big issue. And so
And then now it's like all there. I feel like this is such a 3-point dominated game, which is like I like a versatile game where everything is you can do anything.
yeah,
And
everything's valid, you know. And I will say I
right.
can still score in the post. But
No,
I
yeah, yeah,
mentioned
yeah.
all that to say that if there was ever a year where 2K was going to give us a slightly more souped up Yao Ming, this should have been the year because mashing is not
Yeah,
as viable,
100%. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that's a whole flop. The Michael Beasley thing, I just think it sets a really really dark precedent where you're telling your
Yes.
community you have to spend 125k VC to get this card or rip packs. Like that 125k VC, this whole collection, let me take a look here. Pack market, no, not pack market, player market. This whole collection for Yao Ming costs 299k, so you're almost spending half of the 300k that you need to get Yao Ming and all the players in that collection on Michael Beasley. I would have much rather them just made Michael Beasley a much more expensive version or much more pricey pink diamond in this collection. Like make him
Yeah.
300k VC or sorry
No,
MT. I don't care.
I agree. To me, this is a small level, but to me, this is a smaller level of what the Pink Diamond Kobe did to me last season, where it's such a money like grind that is such a turnoff for me playing this game. The Beasley to me is a turnoff. Like I do not care for Michael Beasley. I would not want him on my team anyways.
Yeah.
But just the idea that they're doing this is you could have said it better. It's like a dark cloud over you because it's like it's such a weird. They've been doing so well this season with rewarding us, and this to me is like, you know, 10 steps up, 20 down because it's like,
Yeah.
what are they doing?
No, it's incredibly frustrating. I do like that we're getting the Jeremy Lin card and they're giving us an Evo.
Yep,
I kind of like that when they take old
I agree.
cards and they do that. It's like when they give them dynamic duos. They did a similar thing with the Pau Gasol card from Domination earlier
Yep.
on in my team. So more of that 2K. I like it, and I'm always a fan of us getting Knicks cards for free. We had RJ Barrett
Yeah,
and Patrick
there you
Ewing,
go.
and now
Well,
we have Jeremy
RJ for
Lin.
RJ Barrett for like a week. He literally left us like within the week of getting that
Hey, look,
card.
still a Nick legend. He's doing
Yep, there you
amazing
go.
things in Toronto in terms of points, but that was never RJ's issue. Was never scoring. Well, I mean, I guess it was kind of scoring, but I love RJ Barrett. I just feel like a lot of his stats are empty calories, but that's not what I'm going to talk about in this podcast today. Is there anything else you want to talk about with Lunar New Year, or are there any things that you're hopeful for from the All Star promo that we're going to be getting next weekend?
Yeah, the one thing I really hope is, and I listen, I like I said, I've kind of always been back and forth with my team, so I can't really pinpoint what they've done the past handful of years in All Star, but I really hope they do a 2K17 approach to this where rather than giving us random All-Star cards just for the why not, they make it stay true to the events to make the events more fun for my team. Like I want to see the 3-point contest winner get something, the dunk contest winner, the skills challenge, the All-Star MVP. I like that stuff to me. I love that stuff. I remember in 2K17 when Diamond Porzingis won the skill on the Knicks when he won the skills challenge and he got the diamond that was super OP in the game. Like I love that stuff. It makes the whole night, the whole weekend feel like a ton of fun, and it makes you, that the whole beauty of moments cards that I like. I want 2K to make the NBA feel more fun, and I want the NBA to make 2K more fun. Or I don't know if I just said the same thing, but vice versa. So
Yeah.
I really hope that we get something out of getting these event winners for the All Star game. I hope that it stays true to that. But yeah, alongside that, I hope we get that. I hope we get some. I think like a Spotlight Sim esque kind of thing
Yeah.
for the grinders would be a lot of fun, where we can grind for, you know, I don't know, a cool All Star card. Maybe it could be like I don't know, it could be anything. Maybe like a someone who broke a record in the All Star game, or someone who had like a really good 3-point performance.
Yeah.
I think that could be really exciting, where they have like the best 3-point winners of all time, the best dunkers, and we can grind that. Maybe some evos. I want something for everyone. Like it'd be cool to get for the money spenders or stuff like that. Give us cards who won the events. Give the grinders something to grind for outside of that. So I think those are like the two biggest things I want. Going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit on a lot of the points that I was going to say about this as well. I mean, I have the MyTeam Twitter preview for All-Star 2023. I did not play my team last year, but it looked like last year we got a bunch of opals that were available. I'm assuming only in packs, and if you completed the collections for the two sides, you were able to lock in for Dark Matter LeBron or Giannis. I mean, we're not going to get Dark Matter obviously next
Wow.
week.
Isn't that crazy to look back? We were getting Dark Matters
I know.
around
I
this
mean,
time
ratings
last year.
wise, I've compared them and they are very similar ratings and badge wise. But yeah, I mean, the tier is absolutely crazy. Obviously, the tier, we're like a full tier or two behind, which I love personally because then that gives a little more longevity for the game. Um, I am excited. I mean, for a few things in terms of players, I think we're gonna get a Shea Gilgeous-Alexander next week, and I was pretty upset that he was the season. I think he was the season two like
Too.
master card that you got for
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
completing all the game modes. I did not do that. I will not touch unlimited with a 20-foot pole. And I would love the opportunity to get Shea if he's available next week. I think that could be my point guard. He could be the first card that I will spend MT on in months, which is hilarious to say.
Yeah,
First,
okay.
you know,
You say that now. You're
I
gonna
know,
be
but
at
Shea
like
will be a
10
lot of
mil
fun.
by the end.
I like Shea's game. I would love to have Shea on the Knicks. It will never happen, but I want to dream. Um, I'm also hopeful for us getting another domination or like Harry said, spotlight Sims kind of thing. I mentioned this in I think a video that I uploaded a month or two ago where I was covering when we got the domination for the Pink Diamond Damian Lillard. I would like to get a domination or a grindable long term or long formatted game mode that happens or that comes into the game at the middle of each season. I think that's kind of nice, a nice
That would
way
be
to
good,
give
yeah.
us, or the offline grinders at least something to play for. And then yeah, give us the event winners. Give us something to grind. I want there to be more than just rip packs, hope you get players, and not just put all these players in the player market. I want a little more involvement. I want a little more engagement or more opportunity for engagement. That's all I'm hoping for. Do you think, Harry, my last question before we toss it to our last segment, do you think we get our first Galaxy Opal next week?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, if it wasn't Yao Ming, we're definitely getting someone by All-Star Weekend. That'll probably be the big reveal. Maybe it'd be really. I think it would be really cool if like the All-Star MVP gets a Galaxy Opal. I think that'd be a really cool thing to do, where it's not something that's predetermined that 2K already has in mind. It's something that they earned in the game. I think you could tell a big theme is I want it to be very similar to the All-Star Weekend. So I think that could be really sick if like
Yeah.
we get if like the 3-point winner and the dunk winner and all these different people get pink diamonds and then the All-Star MVP
Yes.
gets a opal. I think that would be perfect and really
That
cool.
you
So
know what?
I hope we get that.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I think, our first pink diamond in NBA 2K24 My Team was Kobe Bryant, and that was perfect. He was, the holiday
Yeah,
lock-in
yeah, yeah.
reward card. He's the cover athlete. This, the game in many ways is like, a celebration of Kobe, I feel like. Even though up until this season we couldn't get Kobe Bryant without spending, basically effectively like a mortgage or on a house or a down payment on a car up until we had him this season for 21,000 MT. But that's neither here nor there. I think the first, I would love it if the first of every tier is something flashy, and I think All-Star MVP giving us that card as an opal would be amazing. So
Yeah.
I'm totally I'm in lockstep with you there, Harry. Because after that, All-Star Weekend is next weekend, and then next week, well, the following week after All-Star Weekend is our last week of season 4, and then season
Yeah.
5 hits. So it would make all the sense in the world to me if the All-Star game MVP is our first opal, and then 6 days or 5 days later, that first Friday, that first day of season 5, we get our first Friday promo with opals. That would make sense to me, and I would really like that. I mean, yeah, I'm in total lockstep with you.
But also, to quickly add, isn't
Yeah.
the whole dynamic duo thing so odd that they gave us like a dynamic duo opal and then we haven't had any opal since? You know what I
I
mean?
like that though. I like that
Do
because
you?
it makes them valuable. Like that's the
Okay,
whole
all
argument
right,
I
I'll
have for
give you that.
pacing. Like what I like about the pacing of this game is when you buy a card, it's not immediately outdated. Like if you spent the
Yeah.
MT or the VC to get the MJ and the Scottie Pippen, those cards are going to be valuable
That's a
on your
good
team
point.
for a while.
And that's something we hated, I remember in 2K22 when they'd come out with like, whoever, and then the next week it's like card that's better. So I agree. That's a good point.
Yeah, because FOMO is a thing, and I appreciate that whether my team is doing it, the my team developers are doing it intentionally or not. Odds are they're not doing it intentionally because they're idiots and they're greedy. I feel like the way the game has been laid out this year, you can invest in cards if you want, and you don't have to be that afraid to do so because that card's gonna, if you buy the right card, will have value for I feel like at least a
Yeah.
month. You know?
Yeah, no, I agree. And listen, I'm gonna say it right now, I love that 2K is they're not changing it up. They're keeping the pacing the way it is because we are in the minority. I'm gonna be honest, this community, they're filled with morons. The fact that all they want is their 99s right now with the most OP SIGs and all that stuff. But then it's like they get that and then the whole rest of the year is so boring. I guarantee you when these 99 Dark Matters came out during the All-Star game last year, what is there to look forward to for the entire rest of the year? Like nothing. It's like
Yeah,
I would
exactly.
compare the 2K community. They're like little babies, right? They're little kids and they want their ice cream and their candy before dinner, and their parents give them that ice cream and their chocolate before dinner, and then they don't even want dinner anymore because they just had all those sweets. Compared to letting them enjoy their dinner, they get to have a nice little meal, and then they get to have their chocolate and candy for dessert, and they get to enjoy that too. They're letting us enjoy everything instead of just handing out everything in the beginning. We get sick of it, and then we have nothing to look forward to. So props to 2K. Keep it up, please.
Exactly. Wow. I never thought Harry would attribute or make a correlation between my team and, a very healthy and balanced meal. But, hey, here we are. And I
There you
somehow
go.
agree with Harry. I'm totally in favor of the way they're pacing the game right now. I know it's very slow and people aren't used to that, but I think it's good. Again, overall, I think, we're about to move on from the my team, portion of this video now. But this is as positive as I think Harry and I have ever been at the
Yeah.
same time about my team ever, that in a space where we've been talking about it and recording it. I'm sure there were other times in the past, like 7 years ago in NBA 2K17, where we were probably both really positive about the game.
Oh,
But
the good old days.
I know, but
No, but yeah, no, you're right. We are super positive. There are, like I said, there are going to be always negatives. The Yao Ming and but all the negatives. It's not. I felt like last year with the Pink Diamond Kobe, and I think I even said this like word for word verbatim in the last podcast. That to me was such a big negative that it made all the other positives less positive compared to this, where I felt like all the positives are so big and the negatives are so small that like they don't really impact the positives. Like there's been some negatives that we've spoken about, but to me, like I'm still very positive about the game. You know what I mean? It's not gonna be perfect, but like to me, the negatives are so much smaller in the grand scheme of things. Like I still rate this an A, even after all the couple negatives we discussed.
yeah, I mean, I do too. I feel like my team is in a really, really good spot, and I'm hopeful. We have the path to All Star lock-in, that we're going to be seeing. Well, I think he comes out at the end of next week. I want to
Yeah.
say. Um,
We get it on the 15th. I read in the playbook.
yeah. So I'm really excited about that, and I'm really excited about our last segment here. So
Wait, can I ask you one more thing
of
before we
course,
hop into that?
of course.
So I made the point before. Do you agree with me that like it's for the first time ever you can argue that my team is the best ultimate team mode in sports as of right now, this what we're getting?
I
I
mean,
feel like this you can make the case for it. I really think, and that's crazy
I
for me to
think you
even
definitely
say.
can. I mean,
Not yeah.
there are still a lot of people that are going to say that MLB The Show is the best, and I've never really played
I
MLB.
didn't like MLB, I'll be honest, but
Yeah,
yeah, I could see that.
I mean, I could see that, but I would say right now between my team and Mutt, I think you can genuinely make the argument, because, as much as we complain about the gameplay in my team, I think people are equally as frustrated in Madden Ultimate Team. And I appreciate the pacing in this game more. I also think Mutt has it a little bit easier where, you have a lineup with, what is it, like over 22 players if you factor in backups. You have 22 starters in
Yep.
in a football lineup. Whereas if you don't play unlimited or salary cap, you have 5 positions that you're looking to upgrade. So 5
Yep.
versus 22 is massively different. I think it is much easier for the MUT content team to create content and not overlap on, previous drops. Like, you know, we had, Kobe Bryant come out, and they've done a good job of making Kobe Bryant still very relevant, even though we've gotten a pink diamond Tracy McGrady, a pink diamond Kyle Korver, and other shooting guards that have come out. Kobe's still really good, but those other shooting guards still have a place in the current meta, in my opinion. Whereas for MUT, it's easy to drop, different positions with every single promo and not really be afraid of, outdoing a card that just dropped a week or so ago. So,
Yep.
with all that said, I'm with you, Harry. I think my team, even if I can't confidently say because I haven't
No,
played
but
the other game modes,
that was my point. It's you can argue it for sure. You know what I
yeah, I mean
mean? Which is
it's in the
cool.
conversation, and that's
Yeah.
all. That's all we wanted. We were tired
Yeah.
of supporting my team, a game mode that was always a laughing stock, always the game mode that was years behind the others. My team, I think, was the last game mode to remove contracts.
Yeah.
Um, and that's awful. So
And the last one to remove contracts and the first one to remove the auction house.
yeah, yeah. How about that? How funny
Yeah.
how that works, right? Um, do you have any more thoughts on my team before we move on, Harry?
No, but yeah, this is fun. This was a good podcast so far talking about it. I'm glad that we're both happy. And it's similar to Jan. I don't know where I stand next year. This also could be my final, not only my team, but just ultimate team experience in general. So I'm really glad that we could spend these last remaining months just having fun, enjoying it, and continuing to do these podcasts.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. With that said, let's move on to another part of this podcast that I wanted to introduce. I was originally going to call it the freestyle segment, but in the pre-recording Discord, Harry and I kind of agreed. I don't know if Harry necessarily agreed on
I
calling it this,
agree.
but I think Harry liked it. I want to call it the pipe bomb segment, and I think the way I
Yeah.
kind of want to go about it is for each of these pods where we have like a longer, a longer sit down with us talking about things. If we want to do the pipe bomb segment, all that's going to require is that Harry and I each bring kind of like, like a show and tell or whatever. We're each going to bring a topic or something outside of my team that we're both really excited to talk about and present it here on this platform. And Harry and I are, we both really enjoy wrestling. I haven't been able to watch it as much really since college, but I give a lot of props to Harry, because he still really enjoys it. He's gotten me, he's not gotten me, but he's kept me, in the loop and gotten me into watching it more, and I've been enjoying it more. And there was a pretty exciting press conference that I did watch. Again, shout out to Harry who was clutch and gave me a link for it. A really exciting press conference that went down last Thursday. WrestleMania 40 is coming up in a couple of months, and they had a pretty exciting kickoff show yesterday, headlined by a few really big names: Roman Reigns, The Rock, Cody Rhodes, and there were a few segments that were really spicy. And I think with that said, Harry, I'm going to give you the floor. What were your overall takeaways from the WrestleMania 40 kickoff show last night?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I will say to begin, like if the $5 billion Netflix deal didn't really, shove in my face how much bigger the WWE is getting, it was this press conference.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like it's like these big companies like Apple or WWE or whatever it is or NBA. It's like you feel like they can't get bigger because they're such big juggernauts. But I mean, man, look at this press conference. They had all these people come just to see this big press conference. You know what I mean? It was like the way everything from the production and the quality and the setup, everything would just look so cool and look so great. I think that it's amazing how far they've come to where they're able to do. It's like the UFC, so it's really cool that they're doing this stuff and they're treating it like a sport. I thought that was really great. And before I even go on, do you have any connecting thoughts to that or?
Well, I mean, I really like that kind of like, before I watched this, I only got, some spoiler free comments from Harry, and he was saying that, I'm paraphrasing from what you said, Harry, but you were basically kind of giving off the impression that the production quality was one of the major things that made this feel very impactful. And, I didn't watch a lot of the beginning portions, but I feel like, anytime I've seen any wrestling show do some production like this, it usually is in the form of like an hour pre-show before the pay-per-view.
Right,
And I feel like a
right.
lot of people don't watch it. I mean, maybe I could be wrong here, Harry, because I'm not as tuned in, but I feel like this is the first time we've seen something like this as a standalone event. They were like,
Yeah,
watch this on a
yeah.
Thursday. I've never seen, you know, I've never seen this before. This is like
And I think
unprecedented.
I think they only planned this out like not even a week before, and they were able to get the people to come and like you know what I mean. It's incredible.
Yeah, and they were loud. I mean, I saw that there were like maybe only 3,000 people at the venue, but they were so loud. And they did a great job with everything. The commentary was great. I
Oh
mean,
my
I
God,
I
yeah,
like Pat McAfee. I don't watch his show all the time, but I think he's very entertaining, and
yeah.
he's a big wrestling fan. I mean, it is so evident whenever I see
Oh
him
yeah.
trending on Twitter for something like I forget which of the Uso brothers it is. I think it's Jay who does the thing where like he waves his
Yeah,
arms up and
yeah.
down. And there was a clip of him from last week on Monday Night Raw, and he's there and he's waving his arms up and down. And
Oh
I don't
my
even
God,
watch
yeah.
Raw like that. And that was on my Twitter timeline.
They
So
couldn't have picked a better commentary team. Him, Biggie Langston, CM Punk, and Michael Cole. Like,
yeah,
what's better than that?
exactly. So now in terms of things that happened in particular that night, I want to get to the final segment
Okay.
because
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was one that you wanted me to watch the most. That was one that I kind of fast forwarded through the first 40 minutes or so to watch. What are your thoughts if you want to kind of give, I don't know if you want to give a play by play or if you want to just kind of share
Yeah, yeah.
your overall thoughts from it. Again, floor is yours. Go crazy.
I don't even know where to begin. Like, do you want me to like? We don't have to summarize everything that led up to this because there's so many small details. But essentially, it's like we, I had no idea where this was going because, I remember texting you beforehand and we were like, I was like, I don't know if I can't tell if The Rock is either like super tone deaf to the hate that he's getting for taking Cody's spot, or if this is all part of a plan and a work. And I still don't know if this was the plan from the beginning. I have no idea. But it was just I did not expect all of a sudden, like during the day beforehand, you saw The Rock on the Pat McAfee show, and he went full on heel, calling the Cody fans what was it, Cody
The Cody
crybabies
Crybabies.
or whatever, and it was like, who, you know what I mean? The Rock, who was like the biggest celebrity in the world, like I did not think he'd be able to pull off this heel because he's such a beloved celebrity, but man, he really took the ball and went running because from that on, I was like, "Oh my God, we're in for a good one," because we don't know where this is going. He's obviously taking this heel kind of persona in this, and I did not expect where we were going. I thought I don't even know where to begin, but the whole setup was great. Where he kind of came out and his whole kind of thing was like, I'm he didn't come out with the attitude that we've been kind of thinking he would have for years of I want to fight you because this is our family and how you're the tribal chief, I'm the head of the table, I want to be like, no, it wasn't like that. It was like we have the what is it, the best family, the best bloodline, whatever. So of course, if there's going to be the biggest WrestleMania, the biggest main event of all time, it's going to showcase the best bloodline and all that. Like you know what I mean? So the way
Yeah.
he already presented it was great, where he was coming off as like a very cocky, asshole, arrogant kind of heel, which I thought really, it led great to then Cody coming out. And I still don't know if this was like planned all along or how they really did this, but I really liked the whole setup where like, because I really thought when The Rock took Cody's place on SmackDown, it kind of made him look like an afterthought. And they kind of took like the fact that Cody came out and was like, I won the Rumble, but I'm not going to challenge you after all this lead up because I spoke with The Rock and now The Rock wants to fight. The whole thing was just weird.
Yeah.
But I love the idea that maybe in like story in like WWE and kayfabe, as they would say,
Yeah.
maybe the Cody really thought in his brain that the Rock might be best to fight Roman because he deserves to fight and become the head of the table. But they made it seem like after The Rock really started going off on family and hugging Roman and saying that we deserve it and they're the best family and all that stuff. That's when kind of Cody came out and was like, no, like this is not right, and I challenged Roman. But no, the whole thing, I know this is such a rant because there's so many different things, but it all felt so surreal. They couldn't have done this better. I mean, I even texted Jen as a joke. I was like, this is better than any weekly wrestling show we've seen in years. I mean, they
Yeah.
set it up so well with The Rock defending Roman and standing up to Cody and slapping Cody in the face and Triple H getting involved and holding people get back and clearly at the end he was pissed at the Rock. Like there's so many layers to this. It was just insane. And I really don't know where this is going. You know, I there's so many different routes because at first I was like, maybe they're doing what I initially thought, which was Rock and Roman night 1 and then Rock and Cody night 2.
Yeah.
And then I realized I think it was like in our face. I think what we are getting, which I think is I didn't even think of this idea, but I think it's so much better than what I could have or what most people could have thought. I think we get night 1 at WrestleMania, The Rock and Roman versus Seth Rollins and Cody,
Yeah.
which I think is perfect because The Rock doesn't have to be in this super long match. He can be in a tag team. I think if Rock and Roman fought, you got to give Roman the win. So I think now is perfect where The Rock and Roman can beat Cody and Seth by some shenanigans, interference, whatnot. They're going to win. The Bloodline will win. It'll be an insane way to end WrestleMania Part 1. And then it leaves doubt whether Cody can beat Roman in night 2.
Yeah.
I think that could just be such a cool way to go. Like, it sucks that Punk is not going to be there, and I guess Brock is not going to be there because of the whole Vince, whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that could be, that's such a perfect way to fix that hole that they all left in that WrestleMania, where we get to see The Rock and Roman get the win, then Cody beating Roman night 2 to finish the story. But yeah, no, I know I'm speaking forever, but I thought it was perfect. They couldn't have set it up better. Everyone played their part great. And like I said, I think it's great that like the whole point of pro wrestling is to really take us on a ride where we don't know what's real and what's not real. And this
Yeah.
is probably the first time in years of watching where I have no idea what was planned, what wasn't planned, what's going on. But I loved it. I couldn't speak highly of it. What did you think?
I mean, I really liked it. I agree with all of your points. I feel like if I don't know if this booking was all done last minute to now all of a sudden instead of going with Rock and Roman, because I remember when you were
It's
sending me,
just to say quickly, and then
yeah,
I'll let you go. It's so perfect how everything came together with the tag team and everyone's acting. It like it's could be believable that this all was the plan,
I
and
know,
like even from the beginning, the like how like The Rock has said like in interviews, of course he expected people to get upset over the Cody thing. How could you not? The way they set that up. I mean, Cody looked like he was gonna cry when The Rock came in and took his spot and stared Roman down right after Roman completely like torched Seth's title, making it seem more irrelevant than ever for Cody to even want to challenge. Like the whole thing was either like it was so perfectly set up where like you have to think that this is what happened. And I give so much respect to The Rock because I mean, like, it's no secret The Rock is the kind of guy that, like, he cares about his image and he does not want. I mean, you can tell by the way he talks. He's not. You can tell he doesn't like to ruffle any feathers.
yeah,
And with all the drama lately with Black Adam and the comments he made on Oprah that set people off, I give so much props that he took a big risk to be this heel persona for the greater good of giving respect to Cody, who's had this amazing story. Like Cody has worked so hard, and he has this incredible story of finishing the story and beating Roman. So I'm so impressed, and I give props to The Rock for wanting to come back and help out the WWE, but still not wanting to overshadow Cody by being a heel and being a part of the bloodline. It's perfect. But yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off. Keep going.
no, 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 you're good, you're good. I mean, it's also interesting because isn't Rock also on the board for TKO?
Yeah, which I think is such another layer they can add to this. They said it during that was a whole big part of the conference where The Rock was like, I think he mentioned that he's the head of the board, in charge of Triple H, and he can get whatever match he wants. And I think even Seth at the end was like, you can't just walk all over us because you have the power. So I think that could be such a cool layer that it's gonna be so cool.
Yeah,
We
I mean
haven't seen a heel.
there's so many
Yeah.
layers, which I think
Oh yeah.
is makes it really exciting. And the one thing that I will add, because I think a lot of what you said that I do agree with is, Harry throughout this whole the whole thing since The Rock came back, was texting me about how tone deaf The Rock is, and I felt like maybe this is just The Rock going heel because I feel like these guys are all very intelligent people. They know how to
Oh
work
yeah.
a crowd. They know how to work the audience. They know how to work social media. And I think he did a great job of making it look very believable. The one thing that I will say is, I was never like, I enjoyed watching The Rock a lot. I feel like this is a different kind of heel Rock that we're getting. The heel
Yes.
Rock we got in the
Yes.
past was like, more of like a comedy gimmick kind of Rock. He was like singing songs. And I think that eventually endeared him to the fans. This is like the power hungry, like ego driven Rock now, where he's like, I'm the head of the table. Or even if he's not, I mean, he looked like the head of the table in that closing clip where, he walks over to Triple H with Roman and Paul
Yeah,
and Heyman
he's
behind him, you
he better
know?
fix it or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like this is almost like a new version of The Rock, and I think that's great because reinventing himself after being away from the game, for a pretty long time in my opinion, and coming back like this is, I think, as clear cut of a role as he's ever had. Instead of coming back as like the returning babyface who gets a big pop and goes up against a John Cena or something like that, now he's coming back, and this is probably as involved as he's been in a storyline since he was involved with John Cena. So this is really exciting to me. Again, I watch wrestling much more on a casual basis. For the longest time after college, I would only watch the four major WWE pay-per-views, and I don't even do that anymore now. Now I try to tune into WrestleMania whenever I can, just so I can at least talk to Harry about it. And I'm gonna be out of the country during WrestleMania this year, but I do want to watch it because I'm intrigued. I'm really intrigued to see, are they going to do this tag team match? If Cody is going to face Roman, is he going to finally take the title from Roman, or is Roman going to keep his streak
Oh,
alive?
he's gotta beat him. I feel like they gotta. I don't know. I feel like they gotta have Cody beat Roman, let him finally finish the story, and like I think they could even maybe set up for next year's Mania, the year after Roman and Rock, and finally do that match, and maybe they could plant the seeds. Maybe
Yeah,
they could do the whole thing where the Rock and Roman win, and the Rock gets the win, and that maybe the Rock can start planting the seeds that he is the real head of the table and he got the win. Or what? There's so many different things they can do, but I think this is a perfect thing because I think if they did do Rock and Roman night one and then Rock and Cody, there's something about beating the Rock, like Roman beating the. I feel like that would have been such a downer. So I think it's such a perfect. It's so good that they can have the Rock and Roman win. Then you're like, oh, can Cody finish the story after what happened? Then boom, have Cody beat him. Blah blah blah. There's so much they can do, and it's amazing. I remember like, this my last point. Like, I think part of the reason I was so into AEW for a while is because WWE was just so boring and it felt like it had no life in them. And it's insane how the tables have kind of flipped where now AEW kind of feels so cold lately, and WWE it's probably the best it's been in so many years. I mean, they have so many amazing talent on their team, right, or team on in that company right now,
yeah,
and it's incredible. I really feel like this is like kind of peak WWE, and it's been a while, many years since it's felt this big. And with the $5 billion Netflix deal and all this stuff going on, it's really cool to be a part of this ride. And I think WrestleMania 40 is going to be so big. It's so sad that Punk is going to be there because I'm such a big Punk guy.
I know.
But I think it'll be a ton of fun to be able to do another pod once you're back in the USA and recap everything.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I fully agree, and I do think it's funny that you had that Freudian slip saying talent on their team because
Yeah,
if we
what do you
can, I
know?
want to segue over to what I wanted to bring, my portion of the pipe bomb segment. Naturally, I'm a big Knicks fan. I made a
Yep.
video when the
Hey,
Knicks
hey, hey!
traded.
Now we are big Knicks
That is
fans.
true. Yes, that is true. That is true. I mean, there are some moments I could probably pull up some DMs of Harry saying "Dub Nation stand up," but we're not going to talk
All
about
right.
that.
Well, it's whatever.
I'm kidding. Harry's also a huge Knicks fan, one of the biggest Carmelo fans that I know. Carmelo Anthony fans,
Yeah,
that is.
that's right.
But the New York Knicks, they made a trade for Bojan Bogdanovic and Alec Burks right before the trade deadline ended, and all
Boom.
they had to give up: Quentin Grimes, Evan Fournier, Malachi Flynn, and two pretty bad second round picks. They're like two
Yep.
very. They're like the worst of like two second round picks that we have in 2028 and then in 2029 as well. So really, I mean, pennies on the dollar for a guy in
Yep.
Bojan Bogdanovic who Detroit reportedly turned down two first round picks for last year. Um, I'm so excited to get these two guys. Obviously, I'm not a huge fan of adding older players to our team, and now the Knicks have lost all the first round picks that they've drafted. Over the last few years since 2020, they've lost now Obi Toppin, Emmanuel Quickly, R.J. Barrett, and now Quentin Grimes. So don't love giving up all the kids, but the direction of this team has now changed. This team's direction changed the moment they signed Jalen Brunson. And
Yep.
the moment that happened, and he started flourishing for us last year, and now coming into this year, we've seen him kind of kick it up a gear. It's been incredible. I, for my entire life as a Knicks fan, have wanted just an above average point guard. I was so tired of dealing with, I mean, one of the best point guards that we probably had in the last 10 years was Raymond Felton. And
Well, and trust me, that's a different topic by itself. But I remember looking at a photo and it showed our every point guard we've had in the last like 10, we've had almost a different point guard every single year.
yeah,
Like, and these are not good point guards. These are mediocre. Like we're talking like Pablo Prigioni and Jose Calderon, and
I love Pablo. Don't you
I do
dare.
too. I know I do love Pablo. But you know what I mean? These aren't
Biggie
like
Smalls.
incredible. These aren't incredible point. Like who else? It's like
Well, we had
freaking
Alfred Payton. We had the
like
core.
Shane Larkin, like all these like the
I
weird
liked
players,
Shane
and
too. So
I did
upset.
too. I'll be honest. I mean, just as of nostalgic, but these aren't like incredible, like Brunson
No, they
level.
were
But
bottom two
this
thirds of
is
the league point guards. You
it's
know,
incredible that this is like honestly, as much as I love Melo, like Brunson he's making his rounds. He's getting up there, my favorite Knicks, because he has so much heart on him that he's so much fun to watch. He's so talented. I'm
yeah.
sorry to cut you off. I love Brunson. Keep going.
No, please. I mean, I know I totally appreciate that interjection. I mean, to your point again, Harry Brunson is incredible. I was hoping to get a point guard that would come in and be a little bit more of a playmaker in terms of like getting, passes that lead to assists. But, I really don't care. I could not have been. I was so happy when the Knicks signed Brunson, and even in my wildest dreams, I did not see him playing the way that he's
No.
been playing for the Knicks. It's been a breath of fresh air for Julius Randle. I know he's a very
Yep.
polarizing player, and you can make the argument that if the Knicks were to win a championship, that Julius Randle probably will not be on that team, and that could be right. But as of right now, Randle is on this Knicks team. I want him to come back from that shoulder injury. The
Yeah.
Knicks in general are so banged up right now. I mean, their entire starting five has either been traded away or is injured. Brunson now has the ankle. Isaiah Hartenstein, their backup center, has an ankle. Mitchell Robinson's been out with his ankle. Randall with his shoulder. OG Anunoby just had elbow surgery. He's going to be out for 3 weeks minimum. So it's just a
Yeah,
race to the All-Star
I
break.
feel bad for. I was thinking this during that game against the Mavericks. I was like, I feel bad for anyone who went to that game, like from the sense
Yeah.
that they were excited to see like Brunson, and all these even all these guys, and then it was like it just our and it was like we did not expect to win that game, like with the trade and our players not playing and Brunson not playing and all this stuff. But that was a depressing game to watch.
Well, it
I felt
was,
bad for
but it
all
was
the
also inspiring to see that
it was
level of fight.
supposed to be, kind of, but like 100%. But I felt bad for anyone that went to that game like wanting to see any sort of star power, because that was, watching the game at home was one thing, but being at that game must have been rough.
I mean, they at least got to see Dante DiVincenzo do his thing. He's
Oh
been an
my God,
absolute
yeah,
delight. I mean, going
incredible.
back to this trade, losing Quentin Grimes, the main reason why I'm okay with it, even though I liked Quentin Grimes, I thought he was the Knicks' primary point of attack defender, which I think is so valuable to teams right now. To have him on a rookie scale contract was great, but the issue that I had with Quentin Grimes is when the Knicks traded away RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly. I mean, one of the first things I know I told you, Harry, was this is Quentin Grimes' opportunity to really show himself off. And
Yep.
what happened since then was Dante DiVincenzo started averaging something like 28 points per game as our starting shooting guard. And this is a player in Dante DiVincenzo who the Knicks have for 4 years for under the mid-level exception. That is an
Yep.
insane steal. I think he's making like 11, 12, 13 million dollars a year. Like Josh
Is
Hart's
that, I
making
didn't even
20.
know that. That's insane.
Yeah, he's on for the next 4 years, 3 or 4 years. So he's absolutely incredible. I mean, I would hope that we're going to keep him because I like DiVincenzo a lot. People that are saying that, oh, we're getting Bojan Bogdanovic, we're going to start him. When fully healthy, Bojan Bogdanovic has to come off the bench. The way the Knicks are orchestrated right now with Brunson and Dante DiVincenzo, that backcourt works very well together. They have the
Yes, and
college connection,
yes.
you know.
If DiVincenzo is consistently putting up these numbers where he's having like not every game of course, but he's putting up so many of these 30 point high 20s games, I'm so excited for Bogdan, and once I get to my part, like I'll get into that. But he's not going to be putting up these numbers as regularly as DiVincenzo could be putting up every night. So I agree 100%.
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing with Bogdanovich and just the Knicks in general, first of all, when it comes to the shooting, the Knicks are now the only team. I was gonna pull up the stat. I don't know if I can find it in time, but I believe the Knicks are the only team in the NBA right now with 4 players shooting over 40% from three,
Now we're a three
which
point
is
team.
incredibly
It's fun.
exciting. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find the
Yeah.
clip in time. Here it is. Yeah, Jalen Brunson, Dante DiVincenzo, Bogdanovich, Deuce McBride, and Alec Burks are all shooting between 40 and 44% from three,
Wow.
which is incredible. Also, another player, Deuce McBride. We lose Emmanuel Quickly and RJ Barrett, and it's Dante DiVincenzo and Deuce who have benefited the most. Deuce McBride has now carved out a role for himself. He's not a backup point guard, but now we have, and not that Alec Burks is some good.
I find McBride so hard to watch. I gotta be honest, but
I love Deuce.
I'm sure he'll grow on me. But
He
wow,
will, because he fights so hard. He reminds
he
me a
does.
little bit
Yeah,
of Marcus
yeah.
Smart, which I like.
He plays so awkward to me. I can't explain it.
Well, because he's not a
But
point guard. Deuce
yes,
McBride is a
yeah,
wing in a point guard's body. I will go to my
yeah,
grave saying
yeah.
that he's a 6'2" player. But if he was a 6'5", 6'6" player, he would be, he'd be a starting two guard somewhere because he's so good defensively and he's
I
shooting
agree.
lights out from deep. You know,
No, yeah, yeah.
The last thing I'll say, because I don't want to harp on this for too long, because this pod has probably been going on for like an hour and a half. At my work, my nickname when it comes to the Knicks is GM, because all I like to do is dive into the cap and all those, various semantics. The one thing that I wanted to keep with, if we kept Evan Fournier or we did not, is I wanted to keep financial flexibility. There's a term that goes around when it comes to Knicks Twitter called continuous soup. Basically, what that means is you want to make sure that whenever you're making these deals, that you're still keeping some salaries available, that when you want to go and make that deal for a superstar, you have matching salaries to include to make the math work. And Evan Fournier, his contract was expiring, but he still had a team option for $18 million for next year. So what the Knicks could have done is keep him, keep him on the payroll, bring him back with that team option, and then you can include him in a deal, whether you're chasing for a guy like Joel Embiid. Giannis is not going to want to leave after this year. My dark horse, and you can call me, a crazy person. I'm not saying this will happen. I'm calling him a dark horse because there's like a 1% chance. But I'm keeping an eye on Phoenix. I would love nothing more for Phoenix to be a round one exit. I want just the slightest bit of frustration to enter Devin Booker's body. Devin Booker's former agent is the Knicks president, Leon Rose. I would love Devin Booker. If there's anyone that I would replace Dante DiVincenzo with in a heartbeat, in that backcourt with Jalen Brunson, it will be Booker. I'd rather him than Donovan Mitchell, even though Mitchell's been absolutely en fuego for the last like 6 weeks plus, and Donovan Mitchell will be much more available for the Knicks, I think, than Booker. But that's the guy I would want. But going back to my point, you trade Evan Fournier, so you lose that flexibility, but you bring in Bojan Bogdanovic, who has a partial guarantee for next year. So if the Knicks want to pick up that option and then include him in a trade, they can. So you still maintain that, the possibility for a continuous soup. You have the ability to include him in a deal, which is all I want. Leon Rose continues to engage in this masterclass. And the last thing I'll say before I give it to you, Harry, you look at the OG trade. You look at this Bogdanovic and Alec Burks trade. Yes, the Knicks have given up Quentin Grimes, Emmanuel Quickly, and RJ Barrett. One thing they have not given up in any of these trades, first round picks. The powder is still dry for that trade this summer, whether it comes this summer or some point later. The Knicks have their entire treasure chest of first round picks and second round picks to throw, along with some very, very good contracts on their roster. So I think the Knicks are the big winners of the trade deadline. I think they're in a great position right now, 1 year early. I don't think they're even supposed to be in the conversation for fighting for the title, and they honestly shouldn't. Boston is still the best team, I think, by a mile in the
Agreed.
Eastern Conference. But after Boston, I mean, I know Cleveland is the 2 seed, and they were a much different team than the team that lost in 5 to the Knicks last year. But I would still like to see that series if it comes down to it. I like the Knicks' chances. I think this Knicks team ceiling is the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't think they
Yep.
will get there, but it can happen, and it would not completely shock me if they did. Um, with that said, Harry, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna go super long because I agree with practically everything you said. You know, I think it was really nice walking away from this trade because I thought the RJ and Quickly trade was such an emotional trade for me because I love those players.
Of course.
And it took me a while to really come around to it and walk away being happy. I mean, look at how well we've done with OG and, you know, since that trade. But it felt really good to have this trade because there was no doubt in my mind that we won. You know what I mean? Or that we didn't win because it was such a good trade. Like we didn't have to give too much. I mean, Grimes. It is sad to see him go. I think even just not seeing his beautiful jump shot
Oh,
anymore will be
so
sad to
pure.
me because it's impeccable. But no, I mean players like that. It's like guys like RJ and Quickly. I will continue to support for the rest of my days. I'm going to support Grimes. I'm really excited to see what he is up to in the next 2-3 years, how he grows as a player. But I was okay losing him. I was okay losing, not McBride, Malachi.
Malachi.
We gave up a couple second round picks. Like we didn't give up that much in the grand scheme of things. I think Bogdan and Alec Burke are like perfect players for the Knicks. If I were to describe most of our team in like 2 words, it would be slept on. I feel like we have the most slept on team in the league. Besides Brunson and I guess Randall, of course, now OG, because all three of those guys are, you can't not respect them and how good they are. But so many guys on our team are just like we're just slept on, players. Like no one, and I think we could be the fourth, we could be the third seed. It doesn't matter. People are still going to just look down on the Knicks just because we're the Knicks. I think until it's gonna take a couple more years. I think of us being in the playoffs and making it, past round one, getting to
Yeah.
round two, hopefully someday getting to the conference finals for people to really wake up and see how good we are. I mean, we just beat the Nuggets we just like a few games ago. Like we beat a full healthy Nuggets team with Jokic. It's like we're no joke, and I think it's super exciting where we are. We didn't even make the playoffs a couple of years ago, and now in my mind, if we don't make it past round one, not saying we have to make it past round two, but if we don't make it past round one, that to me is disappointing because of how good we are, how much heart we have, how exciting of a team we are. I couldn't be more excited. Randall got hurt, but the fact that we were gonna have Brunson and Randall defend us in the All Star game, like that would have been so cool to see two Knicks guys.
Yeah,
And I just
definitely.
think it's such an exciting time to be a fan. And, I think what a lot of people don't realize is the Knicks being a good team and being a contender, it's so good for the NBA because we've had so many. I mean, I think this year, especially with the Cavs doing so good and the Knicks doing so good, there's so many the Timberwolves being so good.
Yeah.
There's so many teams in the NBA that are being so dominant and they're so good now that haven't been that great the past, 10 or so years. So it's such a different NBA that we're really accustomed to. And I'm excited. I think it's just fun. I can't wait to see Bogdan and Alec Burke play. I think, like I said, I think they'll fit perfectly like a glove for our team. Just a couple more pretty good scorers that we can rely on. And, especially now while we have Randall out and, injuries are roaming around. But I'm just excited. I cannot wait to watch their first game. I think last game against the Mavericks, we're not even counting that. We knew that would just be we had Charlie Brown playing, for God's sakes. We knew the game wasn't going. But yeah, no, I'm excited. I think it'll be fun. And, I'd love to do this little section on all of our 2K pods so we can continue talking about our progress as a team leading up to the playoffs because I think it's going to be a ton of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think so too. Whether we bring it back in the form of like this pipe bomb segment, or if we just do like a general freestyle segment where we just talk about whatever's on our mind, I kind of like this where we kind of get to deviate away from my team a little bit because, contrary to popular belief, when it comes to some of these 2K my team creators, there's more to life than just my team people. So, with that said, do you have anything else that you want to add in here, Harry, before we sign out?
No, I think we've hit the nail on all the coffins. This was a ton of fun. I guess I'll end it now. The wrestling stuff was super fun. And talking about the Knicks, two things we're both super passionate about, and two things there's so much more exciting stuff to come. We got WrestleMania, we got the playoffs. It's gonna be a really exciting, 2024, especially, I mean, honestly, it'd be fun even when the Knicks are in the playoffs, we could do like full game and like analysis pods. Like there's so many cool things we could do with that.
Yeah.
So I think we got a lot coming. My team is still rolling. We got season 5 coming soon. And, I think this is the most positive I've really been towards a my team in years. So I'm really excited for where this goes. And, like we keep saying, I don't know where I go with Ultimate Team after this year, same with Jan. So I really just want to enjoy it. I want to keep doing these fun pods. We got to do more like just fun. We got to bring out the park more. Got to bring out the rec games.
Yes.
Maybe tomorrow, perhaps we can all look forward to my team, a game finally, me
Yes,
against
we
Jan.
have to get a game in. Yes, we do.
Yeah, so, I think we have a lot of fun content coming in 2024, and I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely. Yes. No, Harry, thank you. And also shout out to you. I think this is our longest podcast
Oh,
ever.
it's gotta be.
Yeah, I think it's gonna probably be close to the hour and a half mark. So if you watch this whole thing, we really appreciate you. I know there are people on our previous videos like Mr. Clutch. Shout out to you, Mr. Clutch, who said you were looking forward to this long form content. I'm just happy we can get it done. And an hour and a half. I mean, you could probably get the full Evo done for Jeremy Lin on multiple accounts by the time this podcast is over if you listen to it in its entirety. So again, Harry, appreciate you. Thank you for freeing up some time on a Friday night for me to record this. And hopefully you guys agreed with some of our takes. And if you didn't agree, feel free to leave a comment down below and let us know what your thoughts are on season 4 so far, including the content that we got today for Lunar New Year, the All-Star promo coming next week, what you would like to see coming in that promo or that weekend in general next week. And honestly, if any of the stuff that we talked about towards the end of this podcast, whether it's about, WrestleMania, the press conference, what you expect is going to happen going forward in terms of that, or, just about the Knicks or the trade deadline in general, if you're a fan of another team, if you're a Lakers fan and you're not happy that your team didn't make any moves, or you're a Mavericks fan, you're happy with the moves that you guys made, getting Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington. If you want to, talk about that, put that in the comments down below, and I'll be sure to drop a reply, and we'll take it from there. But we appreciate all the support on all the videos and on these podcasts. Just keep that support coming. It'll motivate Harry and I to do these more often because we really enjoy getting to do these. So again, Harry, appreciate you, my man, and I appreciate all you guys for watching. Until next time, we'll see you later.